Hello, viewers, and it is my pleasure to welcome you once again for yet another episode of the Stakeholder Outreach Initiative by P3 World Council. I am back in Latin America in a country known as the heart of South America. I am in Paraguay, and one thing that caught my attention, ladies and gentlemen, when I was reading about Paraguay, was the description that was given about this country. And that is something that made me learn more about what exactly is this country all about. When I was reading, it was described as the Paraguayans are known for being a very happy and easy living people, and many times the country has topped the world's happiest places chart because of the positive experiences lived and expressed by the population. Paraguay is a developing country bordered by Argentina to the south and southwest, Brazil to the east and northeast, and Bolivia to the northwest. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a country that is often known as one of the happiest places in the world. And certainly, when we look at the development index of any country, happiness is something that matters a lot. And our guest for this episode today is Mr. Jorge Vergara, who is the director of the Strategic Projects Directorate within the Paraguayan government's Ministry of Public Works and Communications. Before I begin the conversation, let me first give you a brief introduction of Mr. Vergara. Mr. Vergara has a bachelor's in economics, master's in business administration from the Business Administration School of Barcelona. He is also a doctor in economics on the subject of infrastructure and development. He has postgraduate studies in political science and business strategies and infrastructure for development from Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government. His work in the public sector includes work in the planning area of the Paraguayan government, as well as in the coordination of emblematic projects of the national government and the Ministry of Public Works and Communications as Director of Urban Conversion and BRT with financing from Inter-American Development Bank. He has been a manager to the cooperation that gave way to the law and procedures of public-private partnerships in Paraguay. Moreover, he has been a manager to the airport modernization project, leading the design, build, operation and maintenance project of the new Silvio P3WC International Airport through a public-private alliance in the Vice Ministry of Transport of MOPC and the National Directorate of Civil Aviation. His experience also includes advising government teams, national firms, multinationals, as well as the development of training programs for public and private sector leaders. Currently, Mr. Vergara is Director of Strategic Projects of the MOPC, in charge of projects with structured financing of the private sector, as well as public-private partnership projects, concessions, and turnkey works. Mr. Vergara, on behalf of my team at P3 World Council and our global followers, I want to welcome you for the Stakeholder Outreach Initiative, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Many thanks. Muchas gracias, Mr. Valerao. It is a pleasure being here and be part of such a very good and recognizing set of professionals and people who are dedicated to P3 and to try to develop our countries and our world using this instrument and also putting all of their efforts of their minds to try to improve this mechanism, and I feel very honored to be a part of this conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Vergara. To begin with, Mr. Vergara, the question that we probe and we try to explore with different countries is understanding the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, especially on the markets, on the ecosystems, and specifically on PPP projects. Now, since you deal with high-value capital projects and being in Paraguay dealing with the government, how has been the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on your country, and how are you dealing with it?
Yes, I am as many countries in the world. We faced a very new and very critical situation during the pandemic. The pandemic is something that hit us, and we didn't know where it comes. So yeah, it is a critical process. Even though Paraguay has a very good fiscal, a macro fiscal system, and we are very low country in debts regarding our GDP. It is around 30%, so we have more room to get debts in some way. Very conservative in that situation, but also we need the investment of foreign investment, I would say, and well, the COVID allows us to be to try to face with not so many credits, not so many loans, and try to keep our percentage between debt and GDP coefficient. So we are gonna be as all the IDB, CEPAL, and all those kind of organizations says that Paraguay will be the less harmed country because of COVID. So we are going to decrease on 2% or 2.5 at most. So many countries in here, it is around 8, 6, or 10 or 8%. So Paraguay will be very and I wouldn't say an easy situation, but at least we are not going to be hit very, very hard in our economy.
Okay, so you mean to say, Mr. Vergara, that compared to other countries which are seeing an average contraction of close to 8 to 9% on their GDPs, Paraguay, you mean to say that it will be seeing close to around 2 to 2.5% contraction in the GDP? That's what
right.
you mean to say. So, Mr.
Yeah,
Vergara, which are the key sectors that have got impacted in Paraguay because of the pandemic?
Well, yeah, most of the and that is very good thing that we have realized during this process. It is that the government allowed to the entrepreneurs and little companies and to go and have access to credit in phase two in the way to face the situation.
Okay.
Are you listening?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Well, sorry. Well, I will still explain. So what we found in this situation is that many of our companies are informal. Okay. So most of the companies, or sorry, the little business that are informal, that was the sector that suffered the most of the COVID effects. Also, because of our lockdown, the rest of the tourism, the gastronomy business, okay, and all those kind of stuff that are most for the tourism part of regarding to that industry, mm-hmm, they are the most impact.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mean to say that tourism is one area that has got severely impacted, especially we can term it as the service sector that has seen a bigger brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, but in the other side, mm-hmm, we are the government are opening the doors for less restrictions and those kind of stuff, and all we don't have, as you mentioned, we are a landlocked country. We don't have rivers into the sea. We are surrounded by land countries, and all the intern tourism will be very, very, very active in next summer, which is different from us that you are in the north, we're in the south. So now you see the demand on rooms and housing and all those kind of stuff in the country, because going out for tourism in the country will be very, 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 very difficult this year. So on the other hand, you're gonna be a very hard, very good and very quick growth in the tourism now.
Okay, okay. Mr. Vergara, one thing that led me to, explore more about Paraguay and talking to you was one of the articles that I read in one of the leading newspapers in Paraguay, which mentioned about that Paraguay has successfully closed an historic financing package for a major roadway project last year and is working on 5 more significant infrastructure projects in the area of roads, a light rail network, waterway, and clean water systems, which is basically at a combined price tag of roughly $1.34 billion that are expected to launch over the next 1 or 2 years. So can you please help us understand about these upcoming 5 major projects that were mentioned in the news?
Sure. In the middle of the pandemic, we were working hard and on finalizing our pre-feasibility studies of those 5 major projects, which is the duplication and giving to DVOT for the road number 1, which is the one who goes to the south. So the corridor, the south corridor will be under PPP at least in 120 kilometers. The second one is the road number 6, which is a very important road because unites Ciudad del Este, which is in the border of Brazil, to Encarnacion, which is in the border of Argentina, and has a lot of commercial, a lot of commerce economy, and also a touristic destiny. So this is going to be the triangle, because we finish. I mean, we are starting and constructing and operating the number 2, sorry, that you mentioned before. That goes from west to east. Then we are going to do the triangle, the one to go to the south and the other to go to the north. It will be the triangle. Okay. So we are going to do the triangle, and that's will be the two of the major projects. The next one, which is very important, because it is the main mean of communication and for our economy, is a river. Okay. Paraguay has Paraguay River and Paraná River that goes to the Atlantic through the river Rio de la Plata. Okay. So we have ports in Buenos Aires, also in Montevideo. So that mean of communication, the river, the river has problems, and you need to dredge. Sorry. So we are going to do in concession under PPP for 30 years, the dredging, maintenance, operating, and all those signing and all those kind of stuff, advertising the river, the Paraguay River, at least in our sovereign trace, which is around of 800 kilometers. The rest that is shared with Argentina will be still maintenance by the traditional way of work. So that is another one very big major project. The other one, it is the light trail, as you mentioned, 15 kilometers in the first phase that unites Luque, which is close of the airport, to Asunción downtown. And the next phase will be 30 kilometers more to the north, to the ciudad, to the name with the city, Ipacaraí or Ipacaraí, which is the famous lake that we have in our tourism as a tourism asset. So that will be 45 in 2 phases. Okay. That's the 4 major projects. And the next project that we are facing is the ferry. We are working on a ferry system from south of the Paraguay River to the north, starting on Villeta and getting into the ports in El Chaco, Paraguay. Paraguay is divided by the Paraguay River into 2 major regions. The western region, which is the Chaco, the Chaco, where there is more wild territory, no, a little bit of population, but a lot of production, because in that territory there are Mennonite colonies, so they develop the country in that part. And the eastern region, which is the most of the population are in very fertile soil and very keen for production. Okay. So those are the 5 more major projects that we are facing, and all of them we are in. And then the other project, it is, as you mentioned, the water supply in the northern area of Asunción. And it will be also a very important project, because all of the situation we need of the lack of problem of operation of the state supplier. So that's going to be PPP also.
Okay. So Mr. Vergara, what I'm understanding is these 5 projects, basically, when I look at it, they are larger, big capital infrastructure projects. And through these projects, Paraguay is looking at building an integrated network of logistics, rather, which is like a roadways, like waterways and everything. So everything is like interconnected using the rivers as well. And I mean, it's a beautiful plan. I mean, and this is the way, rather, using of your natural resources and making it and bringing it to your advantage through infrastructure projects. This is something impressive that you just told us about. And what you just mentioned about the triangle thing, this is something connecting like every corner of the country and throughout the country. This increases the trade opportunities for many along the way, and certainly brings about a change in the lifestyles of many. I'm sure this is something, these are ambitious projects that your government is considering.
Yeah, thank you. It's really a strategy of, because we are a landlocked country. How we can face that hardship? The way is to be a competitive in logistics. So I give you an example. This project is not under PPP process. It is turnkey, but we are building the interoceanic road, starting in one point with Brazil, which is Puerto Murtinho, and they have a lot of ports in the Paraguay River integrated to our logistics, but we are giving them an opportunity to unite as a corridor, a road that crosses all of the north area of the Chaco, including the colonies of the Mennonite colonies, and getting to Argentina and close to Bolivia. So the production coming from the south of Brazil can go and no overload the Santos and Paranaguá ports, but going to Paraguay to the territory, and from the Paraguay territory going to Brazil and then to Chile, and then go to the east market. So we are also giving that, developing the Chaco, but developing also a very nice infrastructure for we can, and it is under construction. We are constructing. It's not a plan. We are constructing. So this is our strategy. We are a small country, but we have to get out all of our advantage and make it work for us.
No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant, Mr. Vergara, what you just mentioned. that it is not only the internal trade that you're looking at exploiting, but also trade with the surrounding countries that are bordering Paraguay. And since you just mentioned that Paraguay is a landlocked country with countries such as Uruguay, such as Chile, Brazil, surrounding Bolivia, and these are the countries with which Paraguay can trade if these integrated networks are well built. And I'm sure, Mr. Vergara, these are the projects which are, future projects. And I'm sure you will see the results in the next 10 to 15 years once these are fully operational. And, you'll see the benefits, the next generation reaping through it. Yeah.
Yes.
My
I've
question,
seen that.
correct. That's true. My question to you, Mr. Vergara, is now since these are big capital projects which are amounting to more than $1 billion, does Paraguay has a PPP unit or a PPP law structured to govern these projects?
Yeah, Paraguay has a more integrated area. I mean, a set of agencies of government working together.
Mm-hmm.
The first part is a unit of PPP unit, which is in the Secretariat of the Planning Secretariat.
Mm-hmm.
But they are like a window to get into the process because they manage all the plan, the Paraguayan plan. The MOPC, the public work area, has the DIPE, which is I'm the head of DIPE, has the head of, we are the agency that produces all the projects that are and also we received it and approved and solicit the proposal too. But all the projects that goes from the government, we are the one to initiate and make the studies. So, and we also have the investment department in the economy vice minister of Finance, creating a network. So we are three are work together, covering part of various parts and trying to make it happen.
Okay. So you mean to say that the MOPC is the ministry that is the one which generates or produces all these PPP projects or any big time capital projects?
In some cases, we are the contractor administrators.
Okay. And you just mentioned that even the ministry has a separate investment department which looks after investments into these kinds of projects as well.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Vergara, one thing that we try and understand is an important aspect to any PPP project is the aspect of capacity building and skill development. Now, since you mentioned that Paraguay is a small country and it has a lot of ambitious plans to, bring in some good projects, how is it addressing the area of skill development for not only the young graduates which are there, but also the senior officials who are overseeing these projects? So how is it dealing with the topic of skill development for its people?
Well, I think that's the main issue that we are facing, because it's the most difficult, I would say, part of PPPs is the people. So we are working on the preparation of this generation and the next generation, and also including the one who try to pioneer this kind of the PPP tool. So we have a special dealing with UNOPS, for example, the Office of the United States of Projects, and we are working with them on an ambitious plan of developing not just the Paraguayan officials, but also the private sector, including them, to try to speak the same language.
Yes.
It will be constructors or will be attorneys or financial groups or whatever, but they are going to be part of the process.
Correct.
So we are working a lot with this process and training people training a lot of people. And for example, we are working now with the central bank on changing on some of the the normative framework to make it more to make it more flexible for PPP's project, because that is something that when you start PPP projects and in your bank or the bank of your banks that are the central banks does not understand the process and the flexibility you need, the project finance way and those kind of stuff. We are working with them. We are now changing the normative, and so we all are learning in the process, and all of us are trying to see, we need to understand this more, and this creates more eager for learning in this kind of process. So we have a program that we are doing with many people, not just the governmental offices, but also with the private sector or of the civil organization system, also with them. So all of us can understand the same way to do PPPs.
Correct. So you mean to say that, yes, I mean, there are steps being taken with the United Nations and other world organizations or global bodies to make sure that everybody speaks the same language. That is something very important to mention, because when it comes to international projects of a nature at which the Paraguayan government is working on, it needs that the senior officials as well as people who are working on it, they understand what the project is all about and speak one language. And that itself saves a lot of problems in a project that is complex by nature, and because it involves a lot of stakeholders as well. Mr. Vergara, can you help us understand the top 3 challenges usually the Paraguayan market faces when it comes to big projects like these? What are the major, like, top 3 issues and challenges that you face, the country faces?
Well, first of all, I would say the legal framework, it is very good for PPPs, but we need to get along with the financial normative. And now it's the thing that I mentioned before we are facing, and trying to put it together and try to speak the same language. So, and the second part I would say will be the understanding of the short term of participation of the national finance sector. They are now understanding how to participate, not in the long term, but at least in the short term. You know, our working capital or transition loans, all of the kind of stuff that we are now understanding. We are going through with them in the process, and that wasn't understood very well, sorry, in the past. And now we are getting along with these things. And the other part, I would say that we try to swim in the pool without water, and that means that we just jump to the swimming pool, and we didn't have any experience, and we need to understand more about this kind of process. And that's because of the rush of the public sector, the political issues or whatever. And we need to understand more the projects. The projects needs a natural, mature process. And we need a natural understanding of the process, so so we can launch this. And that is a main challenge that we are facing, and trying to understand. First of all, trying to diminish and try at least to manage the risk involved in each project. And after that, and when we see the solutions, or we can share with the private sector, so we can go move forward in this project.
That's correct. One important point that you mentioned, which I would reiterate, ladies and gentlemen, what Mr. Vergara said, is that legal frameworks. any country that keeps working on its legal framework certainly will surely see automation of these big ticket projects, because it is a strong legal and a robust legal framework or a regulatory framework that protects and safeguards such large infrastructure projects that has interests of multiple stakeholders. So yes, indeed, Mr. Vergara, this is not only a challenge for Paraguay, but also for many other countries as well, which are in different phases of development and are working towards it. But good you highlighted, legal frameworks is something which is very important when it comes to PPP projects. What is it about, Mr. Vergara? My closing question to you, my last question to you is that when it comes to digitalization, are there any projects being undertaken by the government in the area of digital infrastructure building up? I mean, like fiber optic networks and all?
No, 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 no. We are going from the easy, less difficult part, and going to the next generation will be probably energy and social services. We are now trying to work on hard part of the infrastructure, and when we get into there, we are going to go farther in that. For example, we are exploring a waste management system for one or two departments of region, I would say, or provinces, how you call. That will be the toughest that we are facing, but no going forward of that, because we before we need to stand firmly in this process, to understand very well, and then going to the other sectors that are more sensitive, and I would say sometimes more difficult.
I got it. And I really appreciate, Mr. Vergara, the way you said it, that yes, step by step, the country is taking steps towards building a very strong PPP framework. Not only PPPs, but infrastructure the country needs, especially with the changing demographics. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever conversation I've had with Mr. Vergara, it assures me that the country promises a strong return for stakeholders and investors globally. What just Mr. Vergara mentioned about the 5 large infrastructure projects, these are very ambitious projects that are looking forward to build an integrated network of waterways, of railways, of also the roadways as well. Not only connecting Paraguay internally, but also opening it up for a trade with other landlocked countries it has around us. I'm sure with these kinds of development projects, the country would certainly and would surely offer some strong returns for global investors as well. Mr. Vergara, on behalf of my team at P3 World Council, I would like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and sharing your insights and helping us understand the entire investment outlook for Paraguay in the coming days.
Thank you very much, Harshal, and we are here available for any kind of information you need, and to share our experience, and also to learn from other experiences to do our job properly for the well-being of our population, and also for the region, and trying to give our show what we are doing to the world. I mean, this is we are part of a bigger community, and trying to help on what are happening here.
That's true. And as you just said, Mr. Vergara, as P3 World Council, we are committed to bring these local projects, these regional projects to a global audience. And as P3 World Council, we are also committed to associating with your government in bringing the best practices, the global best practices, and working alongside in building a shared value for all stakeholders. We would be happy to associate with you and bring in our expertise as well to Paraguay.
Thank you very much, Harshal. We are very honored to be that you contact us and being part of something bigger, and trying to develop a more not just because we are not building for the infrastructure per se. We are building for get more efficiency for the people, for the taxes of the people, and for the well-being of the people. It's our main goal finally.
That's true. That's true, and it certainly would be achieved, Mr. Vergara. And as P3 World Council, we wish you, on behalf of my team, a very strong and a healthy economic recovery for Paraguay.
Thank you very much. We need it. We will need it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have a good day. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.